Hello, Zoomers! and a warm welcome to the rest of you. Even though you've been unvetted. Even if you're unwelcome elsewhere, especially if you're unwelcome elsewhere. You are attending the Unitarian Universalist Church in Eugene. We couldn't do this without you. And I am today's worship associate, Augie Sabini. My pronouns assigned at birth are he and him. I'm short, balding man, wearing my favorite green plaid shirt, and I'm a lot older than I ever thought I'd get. One reason I volunteered to do this, and it goes for these people too, is that we're having so much fun. This is way too much fun. And good fun helps us to make good trouble. Joining us today will be Tim Vignos on the big screen from the Visioning Task Force, and I am accompanied by my wonderful worship associate, Nancy Buffin, without whom this would all look ugly. Austin has volunteered to help me light this chalice. We light this chalice as a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist values. You look around, there are always things need doing. They are there to remind us that we're all in this together.
Good morning. My name is Nancy Buffum, and I'm also worship associate this morning. I'm wearing an elf hat and black and gray and a worship stole. I am reading from the opening statement of Visioning statement about energizing participation. We are an open, broad-minded, and dynamic congregation. We are diverse in background, age, family situation, geography, and occupation, which leads to widely differing opinions on many issues. Because of our differences, we are all loving people who love the Unitarian Universalist Church in Eugene. Together we worship, learn, share, and work, all as one congregation. Those who are connected to UUCE have talents, perspectives, time, energy, interests, and preferences that are all essential to our mission. We want to encourage personal involvement by embracing expectations for participation at UUCE. We'll do this by encouraging people to attend small groups, to become more involved, to attend celebration and worship events. There is more opportunity than ever before for energizing participation in the life and religious exploration of UUCE. We want to be sure that we fully live together in the moment. Come, let us worship together. I'd like to invite Eugene to come up for a moment.
Good morning. I'm trying to find my note. My name is Jean. My pronouns are she and her. Today you see near the chalice our candle of remembrance. It's there for Elizabeth Starr Dillon Moran, who died unexpectedly of a suspected heart condition just 5 days ago on December 2nd. Ellie was part of a population whose members were oppressed, hunted, and murdered during the Nazi regime. Our current regime in this country is on this path, shaming, bullying, encouraging violence, and withdrawing care for transgender individuals. We must fight back. I light this candle for Ellie, transvisible, writer, musician, friend.
Hello, my name is Tim Vignos. I use the pronouns he and him. I'm honored to be with you today. I very much wanted to be with you live, but I'm currently over South Dakota flying to Rochester, Minnesota for a medical procedure. My health is fine, but it is a procedure that I could not have performed locally, and this was the only time available. Upon my return, I look forward to seeing your contributions from the listening circle that will follow this service. The health of UUCE is incredibly positive. You all know and hopefully feel this. We have a beautiful building and campus. Membership is growing. We have incredible staff, worship, and music teams, and we are financially stable. Participation, today's visioning theme, is much like the health of UUCE, equally positive. Sunday services are well attended, pledging is solid, as well as participation in a multitude of areas. I will delve into participation, but a quick recap of the broader visioning timeline is useful. In spring of 2024, we began this process with a congregational survey to best determine what was important to you and what you wanted to be prioritized going forward. Through a professionally facilitated process and a small team of dedicated team members, a strategic plan with 5 targeted themes that included goals and possible next steps was published in March of this year. You all have access to this plan, and if you need help accessing it, please let the office know. Since August, once a month, the board has been presenting each of the themes at a Sunday service, followed by a listening circle. The participation at each of these previous presentations was very encouraging. The next steps of visioning are the sole focus of the board's upcoming January retreat. But we think it will look like teams with leaders. Think task forces, moving the highest priority and viable goals forward. As mentioned, today's visioning topic is energizing participation. It is the 5th and final theme that will be presented in this manner. Previously, we have worked on financial sustainability, community engagement, congregational care, and most recently, spiritual deepening. What is meant by participation and why does it matter? Participation, for our purposes, means participating in church things. Many of us volunteer outside of church, and there can be overlap, but our focus now is church-related. Participation matters because this church would not exist without participation. We would simply go out of business, not just for financial reasons, but due to lack of connection. Active participation by members is vital for the health and vibrancy of any church congregation. Involvement not only strengthens our individual faith journeys, but also enhances our sense of community, deepens relationships, and supports the church's mission in the broader community. Another way of saying this is that when we are engaged, we deepen our commitment to one another with love, and we are more likely to feel a sense of ownership and belonging within the church. How is our participation at UUCE? For a little context, starting even before the COVID-19 pandemic, Americans have been volunteering less and less frequently. That is the finding of the Do Good Institute at the University of Maryland. Currently, 25% of Americans volunteer through an organization, 1 out of 4. Contrary to that national trend, participation at UUCE is exceptionally good. I do not have a percentage value, but we know this by simply looking around, and it was confirmed during the early visioning steps. A significant area of participation at UUCE is pledging, giving of our treasure. That is addressed when we do the pledge drive and is not today's topic. Another big area of participation is coming to the Sunday service, either in person or via Zoom. Our participation here continues to grow. Next are hundreds of other areas, but to name a few, helping with the Sunday service, being in a small group connection circle, coming every Tuesday for building and grounds, or later in the day for potluck, singing in the choir, or being on a team or committee. Our involvement guide has 82 listings for groups. Imagine, each group has multiple people, and many people participate in multiple groups. As I said, this is a very engaged church community. Reach around and pat yourself on the back. I will wait. In fact, for some people, participation is too much. We risk them getting burned out, and we need to recognize this. We also need to show appreciation to all those who do give up their time and talents to this church. I will go first. On behalf of myself and the board, I extend a sincere and heartfelt thank you. For today's service, thank you to the worship associates, Nancy and Augie, and the musicians. Thank you to the usher crew. Thank you to the chalice choir. Thank you to the brew crew. Thank you to the justice folks tabling. Every day, people are doing something big, like yesterday's bazaar, or something smaller, like visiting a homebound member. Thank you. Everyone deserves to be appreciated and likes to feel appreciated. Please think about deliberately observing those who participate and show them your gratitude. Why do people participate? I have two anecdotes about UUCE participation. My personal journey and a survey that I recently conducted. Maybe like yours, my personal journey of participation has a lot of stops and starts. Mine started in Catholic grade school, after the Mass changed from Latin to English. I was an altar boy for 4 years. I was so proud of doing that, and I still wear a medal that I was given at that time almost 60 years ago. It then took the next 25 years off for school and starting a career. But when our children were in school, I started participating again. I was an altar server with my daughter, and I was a religious education teacher, liturgical reader, Eucharistic minister, and sound booth helper. Doing RE for high school kids was by far the hardest, but all those church activities felt good. Another long break. About 15 years ago, we joined the UU Fellowship in Lubbock, Texas, and I did some building and grounds work there before we moved to Eugene, where my Sundays were focused on cycling in the scenic valley. About 8 years ago, after this building was remodeled into this beautiful church, I found this wonderful congregation, and my wife and I attended the Inquires program. I was later asked to do some facilitating for that program, and I remember some of you coming through it. I finally had a little skin in the game, and UUCE was starting to feel like my church. After a cancer speed bump and retirement at the age of 60, and little by little, I now facilitate the community court lunches. I'm on the Finance Oversight Committee. I do some service tasks, and I'm secretary on your board of trustees. Outside of church, I have a dozen hobbies, but my main volunteer activity is as a CASA. I advocate for 6 foster children in court. Looking back, I see how my participation level depended so much on life circumstances. But I'm optimistic that my current circumstances and church warm streak will continue for a stretch. Back to the why question. For me, in addition to circumstances, I participate because I feel a sense of duty. The things are doable with my skills, and mostly they are things that give me joy. I do things that I can and that I like. There are many things here at UUCE that I do not do, that I'm not interested in. I'm fine with that. We are all different in what we like and in what we are good at. That is the fun of being human. Likewise, there is no one participation path. If you are like me, that path varies with ability and circumstance. Abilities such as skills and physical and mental health capabilities, and circumstances like jobs, parenting, or caretaking. We try and do what we can. I know that personally, my energy has really fallen off in recent years, and I'm frustrated, but accept that I needed to cut back. Enough about me, now about you. To get a broader understanding of the why do people participate at UUCE question, I conducted a small survey via UUShare. Thank you to all the respondents. I asked about participation level and motivation, and if there were any barriers to participation. This was not a perfect survey, I understand that. Most respondents said their participation level was high, with about the same percentage saying theirs was medium. One person said low. I think their reasons for participating will resonate with you. They did with me. I grouped results by themes. This is not every response, but they are representative. A few from each theme group. The Doing Good group. People said, I get a sense of satisfaction by contributing in a way that helps others. Here is where my volunteer efforts feel most well spent. I like caring for others and being a part of a community. I need to feel I am doing some good in the world. From the social and community group, people said, I feel that the things I engage in are worthy for the greater good of the congregation or the outside community. I have lots of wonderful friends at church, so I come to see them. What motivates me is my love for the community. Church is a community of people who share my outlook on what is good and what is bad, and it gives me ways to participate in making the world a better place. Our congregation has a commitment to act for social justice in ways that feel meaningful. In the Connecting and Support theme group, people said, I enjoy laughing and hugging and helping others feel welcome and cared about. The church is my primary support community. I need a strong sense of connection and sharing. I feel that the things I participate in are connecting me with other congregants on a personal level, which makes me a happier person. And the final group, the church group, people said, UUism is a life-saving religion that welcomes people who are often excluded from other religions. The worship service gives me 1 hour a week to think about things other than what is immediately in front of me. I love this church, and I want to support it in any way I can. I learned something new and important with each Sunday service. Also in the survey, I asked about barriers to participation, and there were a couple comments shared about life balance. I used to do more, but this is what works for my life right now in terms of balancing personal choices and responsibilities. And I choose to participate at a medium level so that I can manage my time and allow personal time. Finally, there are a few worrisome comments like, if I do not do it, I fear that no one else will step up. And finally, it can be exhausting. Not one person explicitly said that participating at UUCE gives them joy. But I think that many of the comments distill down to that core value, for me, and maybe you, and that's joy. Or let's call it love. Love is like a guiding principle that shapes how we live and make decisions, like participation at this church. What can we do to energize participation? As mentioned, we have no lack of participation. What then should we do to energize what is already high? I will offer a few personal suggestions. First, do no harm. This is not the same as doing nothing. We must purposely work to not break any of the things that are currently working well. We can also energize awareness of things that need to be done. For example, how do we better match folks who want to participate to those things that need their help? I've also got, in a graceful way, we can directly assist someone in their participation attempt. And finally, as mentioned earlier, we can energize our appreciation and gratitude towards those who participate already. In conclusion, and to recap, the church needs participation to be a church. I hope you're like me and feel that UUCE, and participation specifically, are in great shape. People have different capabilities and life journeys, but our participation is centered in love. By energizing our participation, we will strive to improve what is already great. The steps to energize participation going forward will start with your input from today's listening circle. The listening circle format will be like the past. Thank you in advance because your input is key. We will cover as many topics as possible, but here's the preview. How do we foster a culture so everyone who wants to can have a role and a buddy? Suggestions for a talent survey. Is participation the right term? How about volunteering or service? What do you see as current barriers to participation? How to best use a volunteer coordinator in our Breeze database. And finally, how to better involve young adults and youth. In closing, some words from two people much wiser than me. First, Marge Piercy's poem, To Be of Use, which I first heard from this pulpit. This is the second stanza. I love people who harness themselves, an ox to a heavy cart, who pull like water buffalo with massive patience, who strain in the mud and muck to move things forward, who do what has to be done again and again. And from Saint Mother Teresa, we ourselves feel that what we are doing is just a drop in the ocean. But the ocean would be less because of that missing drop. Thank you for your attention. Peace and love.